Good morning, New Hampshire. Good morning, Maine. Good morning, New England. Good morning, worldwide. Hey, Alexa. Hey, Google. Play the Pulse of an H. J-Dog, we got some sun today, a little cooler temperatures. It's okay, though. The snow is leaving. What a great season if you love to ski and had a plow truck or snowboarding or snowmobiling. J-Dog, our poll question up on X this morning before we get going. Latest in the Middle East, latest from here at home. And also today we have a great interview with the author, Thomas Ray, in the 11 o'clock hour of the book, Flight 47, How Can a Commercial Aircraft Totally Disappear? Thomas Ray coming up. J-Dog, our poll question up on X this morning at the Pulse of an H has to do with home heating oil. Very expensive to heat here in New Hampshire, New England. Electricity rates, everything, energy's high, but home heating oil is very high. Is it affecting you? Yes or no? We'll have results for you tomorrow. Yesterday, J-Dog, St. Patrick's Day. Hope you had a nice day. No big parades, including the state's largest city. Our poll question yesterday, J-Dog.
Did New Hampshire have more St. Patrick's Day parades? 50-50. Yes, no. Very interesting.
Really? Yeah, I don't know about you. People were, I saw some great local stuff and people were out celebrating. And I just think St. Patrick's Day is so much fun for everyone, especially with all the stress today and no one having, everyone's so serious and wound tight. Just doesn't seem to be as big as it once was. All right, we have a lot going on. Speaking of, just real quick, I was watching and I was commenting with J-Dog this morning. This little dust up, which I think is great, between Massachusetts Governor Healy, New Hampshire Governor Ayotte. Massachusetts governor is pretty fixated on New Hampshire. I think, frankly, we bug her. I think New Hampshire's under Governor Healy's skin. She, on St. Patrick's Day, when you do these roast and toast and you kind of crack jokes, she said about New Hampshire, the live free or die state. Live free or dumb. Live free or dumb. Now, I don't know if she was talking about herself politically, but Governor Healy said that Governor Ayotte having some fun with that back, and she's had quite a back and forth. You remember Ayotte, when she ran for governor, had the signs up, "Don't mass up, New Hampshire. Don't mass up, New Hampshire." I don't think we've seen the last of that, the back and forth. But speaking of Governor Healy, with all the taxes in the world down there, you know what, speaking of dumb, live free or dumb, that she's poking fun at New Hampshire. Talking about politically dumb, I had to laugh. Governor Healy's on record and asked a question. They have a ballot question down there, of lowering the income tax 1 percentage point, lowering it by 1 percentage point. Plus, they have the millionaires tax and mass income tax. Governor Healy went nuts, saying, no. She's on, check WCBB, WBZ, just Google the interview. No, we can't lower the income tax a point. No, it will be the end of local education. It will be the end of education and all these things. Oh my God, can't lower taxes at all. But speaking of St. Patrick's Day yesterday, I was going through Portsmouth. Oh my goodness, what is going on in Portsmouth? It's like, speaking of bombs going off, Congress Street, good luck getting your vehicle down there. You're going to need a new set of tires or a balance or rotation after driving through there. All the work they're doing is they sell $2 million condos in Portsmouth and tear up the streets. All right. Again, our poll question has to do with home heating oil, very high. Is it affecting you? Yes or no? And that's up on X at the Pulse of an H. Latest out of the Middle East. And coming up this morning, we are going to get some great updates for your home. We have Bob Jackman, the LaValleys. We have another home builder coming in. 'Tis the season. Get the renovations and the home stuff going. But also the VA, Manchester VA, will get an update this morning. And then, of course, 10 o'clock hour, we're packed. 11 o'clock, we're packed. And Thomas Ray, the author of the book, the novel, Flight 47, How a Commercial Airplane Can Disappear. Middle East. So we got another bad guy overnight, head of Intel. The other guy was really the night before the de facto leader of the Iranian forces, the one who cracked down on the people when they were protesting and speaking up against the State of Islam regime and the Ayatollah. And more importantly, I'm very fixated on this. I think we finally did what I think we were going to do a week or so ago, but we finally did it. And that has to do with the big bombs, no doubt coming from the bombers that have been on the British airfield, but the U.S. dropping multiple 5,000-pound bombs on underground missile sites along the Strait of Hormuz in Iran. Some of the 2,000 and 5,000 pound bombs. These are the referred to as the bunker buster bombs. They go deep down and in and then explode. And I think this is going to make a big difference in terms of the Strait of Hormuz. The United States deploying multiple 5,000 pound bombs. These are called the deep penetrator bombs on underground missile sites. And I said this, no matter how long it was along the coastline near the Strait of Hormuz, let's get those underground missile sites, because that's what's been hitting the tankers. And the Strait of Hormuz is so important to the global economic flow of oil and fertilizer and more. There was a big attack, and I think we're going to see some results, hopefully. And these are 5,000 pound GBU-72 advanced 5K penetrator bomb was developed for the mission. The device, also known as a bunker buster, first used back in 2021. So I think this is a big one. We'll see where it goes from here. I'm getting a sense that we're turning up the heat across the board, taking out you. If you notice how coordinated it is between Israel and the United States, taking out key leaders, taking out key cross checkpoints, taking out communications, taking out munitions, taking out missiles, now bigger stuff. And a big thing that a guest 2 days ago in our studio from Tehran, who lives here now, his family's here, but still has family in Tehran, Johan said, and I haven't seen it in the news, and if this happens, you heard it here first. You heard it here first. There are about 8 or 9 million people living in Tehran, about the size population of New York City. It's a big city, Tehran. This is where Johan's originally from, and he has family there still. During the Operation Epic Fury, Israeli and U.S. folks have been basically communicating before the blackout of like the internet and the communications, basically telling Tehran residents, stay inside your homes. Don't go out. We're going to be dropping a lot of stuff in the area. Stay inside. So we haven't seen the average public in Tehran out and about. And Johan said the other day, once they feel it's safe or once they get the go-ahead, if you think the recent uprising, if you think that was big, wait till you see a couple million people marching towards whatever's left of the new younger Ayatollah, whatever's left of him. Wait till you see that. And I don't know where that ends up. I really don't. But what a sight. Even the networks will have to cover that here. The other thing I want to say about the Strait of Hormuz, President Trump has been reportedly quite irate behind the scenes that no other nation was willing to step up and sort of support that international flow of the Strait of Hormuz, the long strait there that so many tankers and so many countries around the world from here to China depend on what comes through the strait. And as that's been non-passable or dangerous, President Trump was quite upset at allies like France and other countries for not stepping up. And I just had to chuckle on this one. I don't blame him. Because we're doing this one alone with Israel, basically. I don't blame him because, but then I started thinking, what was France's record in World War II when the Nazis were approaching Paris? I think they buckled and surrendered in one day. You know, other nations fought bravely the Nazi invasion in World War II. I think France, they surrendered in one day. I think the Nazis were on the, we surrender. So that's Paris. That's Paris. At least Great Britain let us park the B-2 bombers and B-1 bombers that we just used on an airfield there. Hey, Alexa, Google Play the Pulse 8H. Some economic data is out. Inflation. We're going to hear from Doug Tengden as well at 10:35 this morning. Inflation numbers. We told you about high home heating oil. The cost of everything is still very high, and that's problematic because of the bills we pay here at home. Hey, Alexa. Hey, Google, play the Pulse of an H. Tonight, if you're interested, and hopefully you've already signed up, we're going to have an open house at 6 p.m. here at our Binney Media headquarters at the Capitol and near the Capitol in Concord, the State House. But our headquarters, our beautiful building and our great headquarters, 6 p.m. for the British Landscapes trip with our friends at Colette Travel. That's coming up October 24th. We'll be there on the 25th and going to go to Wales and Scotland and spend some time in a really cool castle, which I love. And I just think it's going to be a really cool trip. So if you're signed up and you're interested, tonight, 6 o'clock, our friends at Colette will be here doing a free and open presentation. There'll be some refreshments or food there. And they're going to bring some video and questions and answer and tell you about the trip. And it's filling up fast. It's one thing about these trips, it's not a huge number. It's a small number. This is an elite, great trip with Coet. They've been in business over 100 years putting trips together. Family owned and operated. And the best thing is when you go to another country, like you're in Scotland, you don't know where to go, you don't know what car to rent, you want to go see this, you want to try this restaurant. They have all the local guides, people who live there, who work with Coet, and they're top notch. And that makes a huge difference when you're traveling to get the great advice and not be steered wrong. And you want to learn more about the trip, the Pulse of an H, British Landscapes trip. You'll see it right on our top of the page. The Pulse of an H. And tonight, 6 p.m., if you want to learn more, and a lot of you have already reserved and signed up. We'll see you then. Hey, Alexa, Google, play the Pulse of an H. Back in a moment.
It's J-Dog of the Playback.
Listen anytime at pulseofnh.com or on the Pulse mobile app. Tune in when it's convenient for you. Never miss a moment. It's Good Morning New Hampshire with Jack Heath on the Pulse of New Hampshire.
All right, we are back on a pretty good looking Wednesday. Jack Heath, J-Dog on the boards. Hey, Alexa, hey, Google, play worldwide, play the Pulse of an H. and our network of AM and FM news talk stations, Lakes region up into Maine, Seacoast in New Hampshire, Manchester, Nashua, 107.7 FM. Additional signal on the Seacoast, 98.7 FM HD2, 98.1 FM, 1270 AM, 107.3 FM in the Lakes region, also 98.3 FM HD2 in the Lakes, worldwide, the Pulse of an H, worldwide. Nice looking weather, a little cooler, a little colder the next day or two, but not looking that bad. And snow's evaporating, as they say, melting quickly. Home heating prices aren't melting quickly. Wow. I want to just touch upon this TSA partial stupid government shutdown. I'm now dubbing this, and I don't know why I didn't think of this earlier or why the media doesn't, the Schumer partial government shutdown, the Schumer partial government shutdown. I was thinking, how do people, I mean, no offense. I look at Chuck Schumer and I'm like, how does this person keep getting elected? I mean, I don't mean to say disparaging things. I'm not Jimmy Kimmel here, and I'm not trashing people, U.S. senators unnecessarily, but I just look at what a charlatan and a hypocrite he is. And I say this from an intellectual point of view. He's the guy that just last March was ranting and raving. You never, ever, ever, I'm not even going to dignify playing the audio. You never, ever, ever shut down the government. You never, ever don't fund the government over a policy demand. And here's Chucky demanding over TSA and Homeland Security. And the thing that the networks are too stupid to report on nationally, and no offense locally, is Homeland Security, and they're already funded. So this whole partial government shutdown, by the way, 5 weeks. 5 weeks. It's been 5 weeks, folks. A little bit of tension going on in the world, in the Middle East. I don't know if you knew that. A little bit of tension going on with the situation in Iran. Oh, by the way, they're a terrorist regime running Iran that we're taking out with Israel. Oh, by the way, there's a lot of sympathizers here with Iran in places like Hamas and Hezbollah. And we have heightened security and terror alerts, and we're not paying the people that are supposed to keep us safe and screen the airport for security. How this is it's the Schumer partial government shutdown. And for the first time, unlike the last government shutdown, I think it's pretty clear when the airline executives of major carriers and TSA who don't get involved in politics are blaming the Democrats. I think it's pretty clear. The Democrats own this partial government shutdown. The Democrats own TSA agents and Coast Guard not getting paid. Why is it the Coast Guard never gets its fair due? They're really important for coastal Homeland Security, and we're not paying them either under this Homeland Security farce. It's the Schumer government shutdown. Chuck Schumer owns this. You own it. And if something happens at an airport, it's on you, Chuck. It's on you. It's on you, Senator. It's on you. God forbid, heaven forbid, if one of these nuts, a terrorist, gets through a 3 or 4 hour choke point wait at an airport because TSA is calling in sick, they're not getting paid. Would you work in a job like that if you weren't getting paid? About 400 have already quit. That's going to hurt recruitment. It's going to reduce our security after the intensity of whatever comes out of our Operation Epic Fury in Iran. These airports, by the way, do I have to remind people, Senator, the Schumer government shutdown, Senator, do you remember 9/11? You were from a tri-state New York state, right? Do you remember what the terrorists liked to use? Airports, sneaking through airports and airplanes. Do you recall that? I can't even count how many terror attempts there have been on airplanes. They're pretty good at getting through with a small device. You know what that would do to a packed airport in Chicago, O'Hare? Well, there's a 4-hour wait and you can't even move in the airport. Or a plane, one passenger plane. I'm really concerned about it. I think this is dangerous. I think it's actually politically despicable, is what I said yesterday, that you're going to point fingers in Congress and not pay the people at a time of terrorism alert, high level of security, who keep our airports safe. And the funny thing, it's not funny, it's despicable. You're getting paid. You're getting paid in Congress. for the most part, unless you forsake your salary. You're getting paid, and the TS. By the way, no one. I don't know why I feel like I'm an agent, meaning like a PR agent for TSA, because no one's really standing up for them. Why, I have no idea. You know what the average pay of a TSA worker is? About $60,000 a year. Speaking of high home heating oil, groceries, rent, mortgage, credit card, 60 grand a year. Average pay of a member of Congress is closer to 200 grand. Senator, Congress, if you add it up, the average about 200, not to mention all the extra money, the funny money. Wow. WMUR, I think it was last Friday, to their credit, finally asked our members of our delegation here, about paying TSA agents and ending this, I call it the Schumer government shutdown. And they gave answers. And of course, it's finger pointing. They blame Republicans. The Democrats are the one who owned the first government shutdown. Were there 14 votes? My memory, it's still there, thank goodness. Was there 14 votes during the longest government shutdown over the Affordable Care Act and the COVID era tax subsidies subsiding? Remember where everyone's going to lose their health insurance? Everyone's going to lose health care beginning of the year. Have you heard a chirp? Have you heard a word about that? Have you heard a word about that since January about the Affordable Care Act and health insurance for the, was it 70,000 New Hampshire folks or 77,000 signed up? Have you heard a word about that? That was a Democrat shutdown. They voted 14 times not to fund the government reopen. That was a full government shutdown, by the way, unless you forget. Remember? I remember. The Portsmouth Naval Shipyard workers in that one weren't getting paid. That's why the Gather Food Group, which is a great food co-op, or not co-op, I apologize, food pantry, food shelter, food support, food store in Portsmouth for those who need food support. In other words, food to eat. October was a record month, more than 10,000 meals or, food, however they do it, served. And when I asked the development director on my show, because I love supporting these food pantries, including Gather in Portsmouth, why it was so many, she goes, many of them were younger families who've never had to experience what it's like to go in and say, I can't afford groceries for my family. And they work at the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard because they weren't getting paid. This government shutdown, it's Democrat induced too. They try and point fingers at Republicans. This is all Chuck Schumer, the hypocrite. This is all a Schumer shutdown. So Democrats here point at Republicans. The last one, at least former governor, but U.S. Senator Jeanne Shaheen to her credit, and U.S. Senator Maggie Hassan to her credit, I mean this sincerely, broke ranks with the other senators to reopen the government. Remember the heat they took from the far left, even here in New Hampshire? Senator Shaheen had an event in Nashville. Someone stands up and yells at her over that, and she fired back. I give Shaheen and Hassan full credit for ending that. This one, I wish they'd do it again. You got to pay these TSA agents. This isn't politics. It is politics, but it's not politics. This is dangerous. Not paying the airport security. This is. I don't even know how. Honestly, I don't even know how to describe it. Counterintuitive is just putting it too nicely. Stupid is a little bit, street talk. Dumb, I don't know. I mean, if Governor Healy and Maskin use dumb talking about New Hampshire, I can use it. Governor Healy uses it. I'm going to say it's dumb and it's dangerous. And this is the 5th week. And the lines aren't getting shorter. And when you have crowd, it's just like anything. When you have a big crowd and you're a bad person, it's a lot easier to penetrate and leave a satchel, a bag somewhere. How many times have you been in the airport and heard that recording? If you see a bag unattended near your seat, please contact TSA agents and security near you. Yeah. This is on you, Chuck Schumer. This is all on you. Senator, it's the Schumer government, partial government shutdown over security. This is all the Schumer government shutdown. And tell me it isn't. 603-228-2080. So we come back. John Decker, our own White House correspondent. Bob Jackman LaValle is next.
107.7 WTPL. The on the pulse of New Hampshire.
So many things to get updated on, but no one better to do that than our own White House correspondent, John Decker. A lot going on overnight. The situation in Iran is that caused a NATO rift that was, I think, already there, maybe getting further. John Decker, our own White House correspondent. Good morning.
Hasn't called in yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. He hasn't called in. I apologize. Just assumed he was
Poll
on.
question.
Our poll question up on X at the Pulse of an H this morning. Are the high home heating prices cutting into your budget, affecting you? Yes or no? We'll have results for you tomorrow on that. Coming up as well after John Decker, we're going to hear from Bob Jackman, LaValleys, and big time of year. Home shows, people out and about, but the transition, the ice, what do you call them? The ice dams are fading away. Hopefully you don't have much roof damage. But Bob had some great expos, and they have a growing team, and LaValleys, of course, across our region coming up. But John Decker, I think there were already some questions or rift within NATO and the U.S. Now you look at what's happening in Iran. Big night overnight. John Decker, our White House correspondent, with the latest.
Hey, good morning to you, Jack. Yesterday, I asked the president if he's had any progress in terms of getting America's allies on board with the idea of securing the Strait of Hormuz. And the president gave me a very lengthy answer, but essentially the answer is no. All of America's allies have essentially rebuffed the president on this request. And the president said he's very disappointed with America's NATO allies for not coming on board to secure the Strait of Hormuz. At the same time, the president said the U.S. can do it alone. But when I asked the president when the strait will be safe for passage of those oil tankers, the president said soon, but he didn't give an exact timeline.
Right. And I was saying, because we've had great experts locally, John Decker, retired fighter pilot. We had a gentleman who lives here now, Johan, who grew up in Tehran in Iran, who was actually in the Iranian Navy before the revolution. He knows the Strait of Hormuz very well. He was in that Navy until he became an American. And he was telling me about these underground fortified areas along the coast. And it looks like we hit them hard overnight, or these 2,000 or 5,000 pound bunker buster bombs that penetrate deep down into the ground.
Well, that's right. That's essentially those bombs are the size of a huge SUV that's built here in America. Enormous ordnance, and they can take out those underground bunkers. So clearly, what the U.S. is doing, they're increasing the military conflict with Iran, and they've done so over the course of the past week. That's what the president said. That's what Pete Hegseth over at the Pentagon has said the U.S. will do. And the president has indicated that most of America's goals that he set out at the beginning of this conflict have already been met.
Yeah. I just think Israel and the U.S., it's a tough 1-2 punch for whatever's left standing in Iran to really counter, even if they have some drones and missiles here and there. Obviously, they had more fortified than we knew, but, slowly here, but surely, I think it's a tough combination for whoever's left, whatever's left to fight. And we haven't seen the public, the people of Tehran in particular, come out of their homes yet. We haven't seen that. And the gentleman I had in our studio said, when you do see that, and it could be this weekend, if they feel most of the bombs have stopped dropping, it's going to be amazing if you see a couple million people out there marching towards a certain palace. All right, John, thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Bye-bye.
All right, Bob Jackman, LaValleys, LaValleys.com. It's almost like tailor-made for our listening audience in our region. They have locations across our region, and they have team membership openings. And Bob, you had some great expos, Bob Jackman, and some people wanting to join your team. Good morning, Robert.
Well, thanks for the Robert thing. The only people that know me by that are the Internal Revenue Service and the local police department. But you're right. A couple of weeks ago, we did have our contractor expos, and we did get some final numbers in. There were almost 500 participants. And I attended, we had 3 of those events. They're regional in nature. And I attended all 3. And I was approached 2 different times by basically the same type of person. We're talking a 50 to 55-year-old male that has been in the trade since high school. And they have beat the daylights out of their body. And they're at a point now where they're saying, can I stay in this industry and earn a good living? And of course, that's right down my alley. That's what I do. One of the things that I really believe in is that our company, our family of companies, we don't offer jobs. We offer an opportunity for a career and a vocation. We very much believe in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So does the government. I mean, they made us essential industry when COVID hit.
Yeah, I remember that
So think
stupidity.
about that.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
I have one for you, Bob. You're going to kick out of this. We had an author of this book called Glitter on a week or so ago, and he's been in and around AI, artificial intelligence, for 15 years before people knew what AI is. And he's written this book. It's a sort of a cataclysmic novel about technology in the world today, which is kind of appropriate given what's happening in the Middle East and AI. But I asked him for our listeners and their careers and their jobs, worrying about losing their jobs to AI. What's the best advice you have as an AI person, an expert? You founded companies. You've been at this 15 years. You know what his answer was? I think it was classic. What would you recommend to our listeners here? Vladimir is his first name, for job security. You know what he said?
And I heard that segment.
He said, become a carpenter.
Find a job in the industry, in the trade.
Yep. Become a carpenter. I thought that was so great. And I'm looking at it going, boy, he's right. What he said and you said. I mean, I don't care what age you are. You could be in your 50s, early 60s, 40s, 30s, 20s, 18 years old. Go into the trades. Get working in one of these great, great companies. You're going to have job security the rest of your life, and you're going to enjoy your work because you're using your brain, your hands, you're helping homeowners, you're creating, you're fixing, you're installing. So Mondays, yeah, it's work. Getting up on a Monday and going to fix a home heating system. But you know what? It's got to be fixed when you leave the home. And you got a good team and you're going to get paid. Become a carpenter.
You know, I can't agree with you more and with Vladimir more, because we are a viable professional industry. And anybody who knows the company knows that we have been growing in leaps and bounds since 1962. And we do it because we're filling the needs of our market area. Now, basically, all of us have what I like to call a generational work ethic. You know, retail has a little bit different work ethic because you got to be there. There's people depending on you. Our customer base is depending that we'll be there and wanting to make sure that we'll take care of their problems when they show up. And you're absolutely right. And you take somebody from these two guys, and this is what I want to focus on. Here's two gentlemen who probably know more about home building and carpentry than any of us. They are a wealth of knowledge. And they're saying, is there any way I can earn a living in the industry? And one of them was focused on what we have, and we're kind of different than a lot of places. We do a lot of our own manufacturing.
Yeah.
We build our own trusses. We build our own wall panels. We do all kinds of things. But that's all done in a heated shop.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're used to being outside and shoveling snow and all of that crap and dealing with 95-degree heat, you know, those things are not necessary for you anymore. Even if you want to stay pounding on a hammer, you know, and building stuff, we have those opportunities.
Yeah.
So our advice to people is, if you're in the trades or if you are just getting out of school and want to find a place where you fit, come and see us.
Well, Bob,
yes, you can go on.
Yeah. It's not just the other thing is talk about a real team. All these companies I've met, and you work with O'Valley's, HVAC, electrical, electrician, flooring, building, remodeling, kitchen and bath. They tend to be tight teams, tight groups, because they got to work together. They may have their issues, but, you know, a good company, good culture. They were relatively small companies, meaning, you know, 8 or 10 employees up to over 100, or maybe a little more, some of them. But you're going to have job security, and make over six figures if you want to work hard and show up and have a good attitude the rest of your life, as long as you want to work for that company, probably, and show up.
You know, many, many years ago, I decided there was two ways to actually make money. One was to go into business for yourself and succeed. And the other one is to hook up with somebody who is growing
Yep.
and grow with them.
Yep.
And that's what's happened. And
Yep.
I don't see it stopping.
No, and you
because
have
I see so many people that aren't paying attention to their market base.
nope, and you become a great educator and motivator and evangelist for the industry. Hey, Bob, the other thing I'm hearing, and I'll let you go, lavalleys.com. So if you want to join their team, check out Bob Jackman. You can contact them or lavalleys.com, family owned and operated. Bob, I'm hearing from Seacoast Builders, remodelers, kitchen and bath, despite the cost of home heating oil, despite the cost of everything, the people are these design centers, the installers, the lumberyard, they're busy. There's been no slowdown coming out of the winter. People are spending money, ordering new kitchens, ordering new bathrooms. Things are busy. So we'll see what kind of spring's in store. Thank you, Robert.
Well, thank you. And you're absolutely right. Your assessment, people aren't paying attention to the news. They're saying this is where we are, this is what we want to do,
Yep.
and this is how we're going to be able to do it.
Yep. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bob.
Have a great week.
Thanks. I was talking to a few friends or people I know who don't live where I live, but in different parts of the state. And I won't say where they live, but they were saying that their street, like their neighbors, now that they're coming out, winter's gone by and people moved in, they're meeting people who moved in down the street at the school bus stop from California, New York, and Governor Healey's Massachusetts. People who moved here to escape the insanity of these overtaxed and overregulated states. Yes, Governor Healey, I'm talking about your state. Yes, Governor Newsom and the governor of New York. They're escaping these states to come here to the communities of New Hampshire to live in the colonial home with a two-car garage, a safe area with good law enforcement, public safety. What a novel concept. Good schools, better roads in Massachusetts with less taxes. And they're from California. I've been hearing that a lot. People moved here from California. What a big move, by the way. It's not like moving to a state over. That's like coast to coast. People are moving. They're escaping these overregulated, overtaxed states. And my only hope is they remember why they left there and moved here. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, play the Pulse of Vintage. Coming up March 27th, and honoring Vietnam War veterans. Kevin Forrest with the VA next.
This is
All right, we are back. Coming up at the 11 o'clock hour, the author, Thomas Ray, the book, his novel, Flight 47. How could a commercial passenger plane disappear? Kevin Forrest, the director, Manchester VA, or New Hampshire, really, VA. Kevin Forrest joining us, honoring, remembering, and paying tribute to our veterans from Vietnam. Good morning, sir. Kevin, how are you?
Good morning, Jack. How are you? It's what we should be doing each and every day.
I agree with you, but I really like this one, so I want you to tell us all about it.
Well, we've been doing these, honoring certainly the commemoration of the end of the Vietnam War and doing these welcome home ceremonies. You know, they are very lifting. You know, every serviceman and woman that, returns ought to be, greeted with dignity and respect and thanked for their service to their nation. And, all of us know that, didn't happen, 50 years ago. And so these are very moving ceremonies where, we solicit out and Vietnam veterans that, haven't been recognized. We'd love for you to come, to these events. So this one is going to be over at the Manchester Vet Center in Hooksett on Friday, the 27th of March from 1 to 3 p.m. And this year, we've got Staff Sergeant Ryan Pitts, Medal of Honor recipient here from New Hampshire that will, certainly speak on honoring veterans and returning and also speaking to folks on the whole readjustment process. But, Staff Sergeant Pitts, just, a huge advocate of the VA and the Manchester VA and the whole community here. And so it's just really special for him to be in presence and honor those veterans' homes that may have not been honored before.
And please give Ryan, Sergeant Pitts, my best. I think the world of him and his family. Please tell him I said hello. I'm overdue. I'll catch up with him. That would be great. Thank you, Kevin.
He certainly will.
Well, let's talk a little bit about when you were we had your colleague on recently. We were talking about the I'm trying to think of her first name, who runs the women's health services for the VA for you and your associate director. And she's terrific. But we're talking about all the women's health services coming online. And the one thing I've been saying, I spoke with a group recently, the military officers group, and it was in Manchester, an event. I said, the one thing we have to do is we got to reach the person around the veteran for some of these new services and opportunities, because the veteran is just so used to not putting their hand up and saying, I need some support. I deserve it. They feel that someone else, another veteran, is more worthy. They don't need it. They don't need anything. Even if they need help and support, they're not going to put their hand up. And you know that, Kevin. So with all the new stuff at the VA, like the Women's Health Center and more women now retiring from military service, mental health services, behavioral health, surgeries, all kinds of new stuff. Just give us an update on how exciting that is for you and your team to be offering new stuff versus sort of the same old stuff.
Well, certainly, innovation and being on the cutting edge of medicine, that's what our VA secretary and undersecretary, they want to be the best of the best. And you're referring to Laura Case, our women veteran program manager, Jack. And, by the way, on the 24th of March, so just coming up, we're having our women veteran town hall. This will be a robocall, an automatic call will go out to all women veterans enrolled in our program here, and a chance for us to give updates on those latest technologies and answer questions. So just want to put that out there too. But, we continue to bring specialists into the facility here. When I talk about pain management, which is, another segment we did on your show, I mean, we've got some of the best folks coming from all over the country offering, medical innovation and treatments that, sometimes are really difficult to get in the community. And we do it in such a veteran-centric way. And that's why we encourage veterans or family member of veterans who may know that veteran doesn't want to come to the VA for whatever reason that's out there, that, we are here to serve them. They've earned this this care, and we're here for them.
And if you're a spouse, a kid, a brother or sister of a veteran, please listen to Kevin, right? Can they can reach out on behalf of the veteran to set up an appointment, or can they not?
They absolutely can. They can call our enrollment team. Our number here is 603-624-4366. That's the main number to get into the VA. And for enrollment is 206799. And I would say it doesn't even have to be a family member. If you know of a veteran in need, please call on their behalf. You can give us their number, and we'll do the appropriate outreach and get them in for services. And Jack, I have mentioned just from our outreach team, I may have mentioned this, a couple segments ago, but we continue to grow here, and we surpassed the 30,000 veterans enrolled for the first time. And
Awesome.
so for the last 5 years, it just continues to grow and grow. So we hope that us welcoming veterans with open arms is helping with that.
Well, you've been a good leader, and I've seen a positive change, and I applaud it. So that's great, Kevin. Thank you. And again, March 27th, remembering and honoring Vietnam veterans in Hooksett.
Yep. And Jack, if I could just real quick, so for any Vietnam veterans out there to register for this event, if you could do that by the 20th of March, but the number for the Vet Center is 603-668-7060. I hope to see you there. So
Thank you, Kevin.
special event.
And to all veterans, I'll take a moment, especially while we have military in harm's way, doing an incredible job, by the way. Remember, they don't set the policy, but just remember that, because the Vietnam War veterans were never thanked for the most part. They never set the policies in Southeast Asia. They just served. Young 18-year-old Army, they just served. And now they might be in the mid to late 70s, and they really have never been really welcomed back the way they should have been. So if you're a Vietnam veteran, Korean War, as Phil Taub, Swim of the Mission, talks about the war on terror, the global war on terror. We're working to get that memorial that Swim of the Mission and Phil's leading done by Memorial Day for the 96 service members from New Hampshire in the war on terror that gave all. Thank you for your service. And if you're a spouse and family, thank you for your service. We appreciate it. All right, coming up, we got a full show for you. The Pulse of an H back in a